We are starting off now where we left off on Wednesday with this fourth example where you are applying the order of operations to fraction operations. Okay, now you remember the order of operations are B standing for brackets, E standing for exponents, D and M standing for division and multiplication, as well as A and S standing for addition and subtraction. A couple things that I expect of you when you're doing these questions is that you're going to underline the part of the question that you are working on in that step, and that you are going to show every step, and you are going to work from the top of your page going downward instead of going across. Okay? All right, let's get started with this one. Now, some of you are ready to do this on your own. I would like you to pause now and do this work on your whiteboard, and then when you press play, you can check your answer. Others of you may want to step along with this question as I teach it and try the next one on your own. Okay, so let's have a go. Press pause, and for those of you who want to do it on your whiteboard first. Like in class, I'm going to set up a T-chart to help me to reason through this question. Okay, first step, we are going to look for brackets. There are none. There also are no exponents, so no B, no E. So we move on to multiplication and division. And we know that we do these operations from left to right. So we're going to start here with this multiplication. 7 multiplied by 1, numerator times numerator is 7, over denominator times denominator was 2. Remember that even though it's not written, we know that 7 is written or is over 1. That's the fraction. Okay, so that's good. That's the multiplication. Then we write down the rest of the question. I know that you're tempted to do this division step at the same time, but we're going to show all of our work individual steps for right now. All right, that was the multiplication. Now let's do the division. So we will write down this question, or this first part of the question, and then we know when we divide, we write the first fraction, we reciprocate the second fraction, and we multiply. Good? Oh, I forgot here to write down that I multiplied. And here I divided to the reciprocal and multiply. Okay, we're still working right here. 7 over 2, subtract 2 times 5 is 10. Over the denominators, 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, multiply. All right, division and multiplication is finished, and now we move on to addition and subtraction. And we know we need common denominators for that. Common denominator between or for 2 and 3, the lowest multiple there would be 6. All right, so here 2 times 3 is 6, so 7 times 3, 21. And on the second fraction, 3 times 2 is 6, so 10 times 2 is 20. Okay, and then we will, now that we have the similar denominators, we can do the subtraction. 21 subtract 20 equals 1/6. And what did we do here? We did common denominators, and then we subtracted. All right, let's move on to the next question. All right, this is a doozy. So you're going to start by turning the mixed fractions to improper, and then you will work through BEDMAS one step at a time. I would like you, all of you, to pause here and try this on your whiteboards, showing all your work, and then press play and I'll step through the question to show you the correct answer. All right, press pause. All right, you can see that the first step, I started with switching to improper fractions, and then we are working on the brackets. We need a common denominator inside the brackets, so we write the first part of the question down. Find a common denominator of 8. You can see I multiplied by 2 to get that common denominator. Okay, then we're working on the subtraction now that we have the common denominator. And when we subtract 6/8 minus 1/8, we get 5/8. The next, when we're done the brackets, is multiplication. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Then we will need common denominators here, which will be 16. And we will multiply here by 4 to get 36/16, subtract 5/16 for an answer of 31/16. Now let me see if I didn't write the subtract down again. And then now that cannot be reduced, but it can be turned to a mixed fraction. 16 times 2 is 32. So we know it can only go once with 31 left over, 16ths left over. And what did we do there? Oh, not reduce, we changed it to mixed fractions. All right, so let's look at the story problem. I just stopped it and listened to the last question, and I realized that my music is quite loud. So lucky you get Christmas tunes in the background. All right, this question is about Jeff. He's working as a security guard. He earns quite a good wage of $15 per hour at his local hotel. For every hour more than 35 hours he works per week, he earns a higher wage. He gets time and a half. Now, you may not have heard of that term before. It means he gets his regular pay per hour plus another half of that pay. So if he gets $15 per hour, that means if he works overtime, he gets 15 plus half of 15, $7.50. So he gets $22.50 per hour if he works more than 35 hours. How much money will Jeff earn in 1 week if he works 42 hours? Okay, so he definitely worked overtime because 35 is his normal week. So let's talk about just the normal hours. He works 35 hours, right? And for each hour, he gets paid $15. So 35 multiplied by 15 would give him his pay for all his regular hours. But now we need to add on his overtime. So we need to put a plus there. And how many hours of overtime does he have? Some of you can use your whiteboards to figure it out. Some of you can do that subtraction in your head. It says he works 42 hours and 35 are regular. So that means 42 subtract 35 are the amounts of overtime hours. So let's write that here. 42 minus 35. Now I know that equals 7, but we're going to show all the work that goes on in our noggins, our heads. We're going to show it here. So this is the amount of hours that he works overtime. Now we need to multiply those hours by the amount of money he earns for overtime. So we're going to multiply that by, now how do we figure that out? He gets 1.5 times the amount he gets per hour. So we have 1.5 times he regularly earns 15. There we go. So we're going to take the hours and multiply by 1.5 times. Okay, let's do the work here. Pause it, and why don't you try this work on your own. Press play when you're ready to check your answer. So, again, I wrote BEDMAS on the side just to help me remember which order to do the operations. So brackets first, the blue underline. We have 35 times 15 plus 42 minus 35, that's 7. Multiplied by 1.5, multiplied by 15. Okay, no exponents. Next comes division and multiplication, and we're going to do them from left to right. So we're going to start with this first multiplication. 35 times 15 is $525, plus 7 times 1.5 times 15. Good. Okay, the next multiplication would be here. So we're going to first have to turn that to improper. Good. Now we'll do this, this multiplication there. 525 plus numerator times numerator is 21 over denominator. Remember, 7 is over 1. 1 times 2, 2. Times 15. Next multiplication is here. So 525 plus numerator times numerator. Okay, that one I have to use my calculator or ask Siri. Hey Siri, what's 21 times 15?
21 times 15 is 315.
Thank you, Siri. Denominator times denominator. Remember, 15 can be written over 1. It's 2. Okay, I'm going to have to move my screen down here. Now, we have done all the brackets, exponents, multiplication. We move on to addition, subtraction, and we know we need common denominators. So we will have to write this, common denominators of 2. Okay, now remember we've got a denominator of 1, so what are we doing here? We're multiplying by 2. So we're going to have 1,050 plus 315 1365 over 2, the common denominator. And then, because we're dealing with money here, it's okay to have decimals. So let's divide that by 1,000. Hey Siri, what's 1,065 divided by 2?
1,065 divided by 2 is 532.5.
There we have it. Jeff earns $532.50 working those 42 hours that week. Well done. All right, here is your assignment. I would like you to take your time, use all the skills that you have learned with me in class about the order of operations and working with fractions. Good luck. Please do numbers 4 to 10, and if you're up for it, the challenge questions as well.